everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Huyin. Today I wanted to bring you a video about book recommendations. So the last time I did a book recommendations video was a really long time ago. I will link it up here, and I was talking about the best basic books to get started with when it came to money, and I talked about my 3 favorites, and if I remember correctly, they are The Richest Man in Babylon. And also, did I talk about The Alchemist there? I don't know. Let me think. No, I did not talk about The Alchemist, but that is also another book that I think really made a difference in terms of my mindset and how I see the world in a way. I talked about The Barefoot Investor for sure, and also Rich Dad Poor Dad. So in this particular video, we're going to be going through some of my other book recommendations, in particular for investing in the stock market, because that is the asset class that I really like to invest in. And even if you don't invest in the stock market or you have not yet done so, these books are super interesting and it just creates a new perspective for you. And I'm a firm believer of everything can teach us something, and also whatever state we are in will draw out the lessons that we find, if that makes sense. So basically, when I reread a book, I can pick out very different lessons that I did not spot the first time due to my current mental state or where I am at in life, or what lessons I've actually prepared to learn. So yeah, so these are the books that I highly recommend for people who are getting started in investing, or who are just really curious. And if you haven't read these books, check them out. So the first book is called One Up on Wall Street, and this is by Peter Lynch. It is a really good book for starters because I think it was written in such a way that it was very interesting, as it talked about how we as retail investors, meaning individual, normal, regular investors, as opposed to financial institution investors, we have an edge over them. That is to say that we have advantages as per being a retail investor. And I'm not going to spoil it. You should check out the book and read to your heart's content, because it is quite interesting. It talks also about how he picks his stocks and how he finds them in the first place. And yeah, just really going through his thought process in terms of looking at companies. And yeah, he has very interesting terminology that he coins, a few words here and there, which most noticeably would be things like 10 baggers or 2 baggers, or how many multiple baggers, which means companies that have made him 10 times his money or however many times his money. So he likes to coin words, and he was also the guy who talked about diversification. So he's pretty interesting as a person and as a writer, so check the book out. So I'm not going to show you any like physical books because I have all of these books on my Kindle, and my Kindle is really useful for reading in bed, because like when you're reading, it's convenient, it's light, and I'm the sort of person who doesn't like to bend my book, so it is pretty useful for me. I also really like paperback books. You can purchase these books that I mentioned anywhere, I guess, that you can find in your local bookstore, or yeah, just order online. For me, I like Book Depository, and if you are somewhere else in the world where Amazon is great, you can utilize that. For me, I also like to utilize audiobooks. For me, I use Audible, as it is really nice to drive and listen to audiobooks, especially if they're not too numbers heavy. I find that it is actually easier to digest a book that way, and if the narrator is really good, that really helps a ton. So yeah, audiobooks. But at the same time, like for audiobooks, I find that I can only listen to them when I am driving. When I have been attempting to listen to them at home, I find myself to be very fidgety if I'm just doing nothing and just focusing on the book. So I find that, you know, coloring on my phone actually helps me to focus better, like just doing something simultaneously. I know there is a thing about how if we are multitasking, it is not really effective for us in doing the task that we really want to be focusing on. But just for audiobooks, I can't help it. I've gotten so used to driving and listening to the audiobook, so now that I am not driving anymore due to being restricted in this time, it is really weird to listen and not do something else simultaneously. So yeah, if you ever feel that way, just leave me a comment down below, let me know that I'm not alone in this. Or just like leave me a comment down below anyway saying how you are doing and how things are going for you, because I am super interested to know how's your week, what you've been reading, what you've been doing, things like that. So yeah, let's keep going. The second book that I'm going to recommend for all of you to read if you are looking at the stock market is The Little Book That Still Beats the Market. So this is by Joel Greenblatt, and it is a book that was written as he wanted to teach his children how to earn money. And this is also a book for individual stock pickers. I guess all these books are gonna be for individual stock pickers. Yeah, they're just really great reads to give you an alternative to index fund investing or robo-advisor investing, just so you know what the differences are. I like this particular book because he talks about it in a sense where he is trying to explain to his child what it means to be looking into public listed businesses, and he is also making it quite easy to understand because he starts this off by utilizing a story very much related to his son's life, where his son's friend Jason is selling chewing gum in his school, and he kind of extrapolates this story to cover a lot of the different concepts of public listed companies and why people would buy into the business and how the business is performing. All of that, he utilizes the same anecdote of a story, and yeah, that's very interesting. And I guess like the key part of this book is the magic formula he has to picking stocks that have a really good chance in performing really well over time. And he also does this thing where he summarizes what the chapter has covered. So that's really nice, you know, like to always be aware of what has been covered. So you are forced to have a look at what you've learned and what you have taken away from the different chapters. Alright, the third book that I'm going to recommend is called The Education of a Value Investor. So this one in particular I found very, very insightful. This was recommended to me by John. So John, for those of you who don't know, is my friend who is one of the guys from Furl Co, and that stands for Financial Independence in Real Life. These two guys are up and coming in this scene of personal finance. They're really good friends. They're great stock investors, so check them out. I'll link their Instagram down below, and they'll also be starting a YouTube channel really soon, so it'd be cool to have you all support them as well. Oh, what was I gonna say? Yeah, so John recommended me this book, and when I started reading it, I could really relate to what this guy was talking about because he was so honest in his lessons. So it literally is going through how he was learning how to be a value investor and the lessons and the mistakes he has made along the way. So he talks about the mistakes he had made when he was first starting out on his career, and he also talks about the friendship that he had gained, a mentor, or would it be a mentor? Yeah, I guess in a way a mentor, but a really good friend that he made in Monish Pabrai, who is also another very key financial guru or mentor that we all can learn from as well. Monish Pabrai wrote the book The Dando Investor, which is also another good read, but I haven't technically really like taken in I haven't really taken in the lessons, so I guess I would like to re-explore the book again. And yeah, but you can definitely check it out for yourselves as well. Guy Spier also talks about his experience with meeting Buffett and what he learned from that and the lessons he has taken along the way, whether it is in terms of how to shield yourself when you're an individual stock investor, because there is so much noise and there's so much things that can interrupt your process and flow. So he talks about his hacks such as moving to Zurich and moving away from Wall Street, New York, things like that. So it was very cool to read this sort of insight to how he thinks and how he deals with being a value investor. And yeah, I really recommend it. Okay, I'm gonna give you a bonus book because currently right now I'm reading Invested by Danielle Town, and Danielle Town is Phil Town's daughter. So Phil Town is a fund manager and he is pretty interesting. I first heard about him through his YouTube channel and I will link that down below, and I really enjoyed his podcast. Granted, I have not heard all of the episodes. I've only heard the first few and they were really good. But what I like about this particular book, Invested, is because it explores the relationship between Phil and Danielle, father and daughter, and it is more than just a book about learning about investing. It also explores a little bit of what was holding her back, because her background was in law and she completely ignored or steer cleared away from the investment industry despite her dad being in it, so that would automatically give her a better advantage to learning about it. But due to a lot of family issues while she was growing up, that put a lot of stress between their relationship in the underlying sense. So that impacted her journey with investing. And also she really talks about how she is not good at math, and that is why she also felt really sick whenever she thought about becoming an investor. So this book so far, I'm about a little bit less than halfway through the book, and I find that it's really good. And to come from the perspective of someone who was terrified of investing, very risk averse, pretty much new, and I guess a lot of us can relate to that because we definitely do not come out of university or high school being aware of what it's like to be invested in the stock market and to confront a lot of the fears and the beliefs that we have around money. I think this book would be a really nice place to start, but I cannot fully recommend it because I haven't finished it. But I am gonna jump the gun here and put this in as a bonus book because I am really enjoying it right now. Yeah, that is it for today, I guess. Let me know if you like this kind of videos because I do like to read and I do have a goldfish memory, so I will tend to forget what has been read by me before. I mainly just distill a couple of lessons here and there, and I mainly remember how I felt reading them. So I tend to write down my lessons from the books in a particular journal, and I will keep it with me so I can refresh what I actually learned. So yeah, enough of me rambling on. I hope this is useful to you, and please let me know what are some of the books that you like when it comes to investing or money or anything finance related. Just leave them in the comments down below. Remember to hit the like button because that really helps in supporting this channel and its growth. And yeah, if you haven't already subscribed, please remember to subscribe. Yeah, so I will see you in the next one. Take care. Bye!